Welcome to the Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living. We're so glad you could join us today. For our opening song, we'll have some inspiration from Karen Drucker, and it's a really important thought to remember all day long, all week long. God is my source.
Good morning and welcome to the Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living on this beautiful, gracious Sunday morning, March 28th, Palm Sunday, a Sunday when it's like spring is just bursting to come out of everywhere. I think like the divine in us, so ready to come out and show us the truth and the divinity within us. So I welcome you, and I'd like to introduce you to those of us who will be supporting this service. My name is Talia Hiron, and I'm a chaplain and practitioner here at the Rio Grande Center. Others in service today are none other than our always technical goddess, Annette Martinez. Doing high watch are practitioners Teresa Greco and Kathy Mathiasen, as well as practitioners emeritus, Marge Laragoiti and Julia Washington. Emeritus means that they have been in service as practitioners for at least 20 years. That could be more. And our invocation and benediction is by practitioner and board member Carol Helms. And you're in for a treat because she gives very beautiful special prayers. And our spiritual talk is delivered by our very, very own and most beloved Kamatara Johnson. So let us join together right now in a reading of our vision and mission statements. On screen, let's read together. Vision statement: transforming our world with the power of love in action. Mission statement: loving all creation through spiritual growth and service, always staying true to our highest self. And now I would invite Carol Helms to come forward for the invocation. Miss Carol.
Thank you so much, Talia, and thank you, beautiful community, for showing up on Zoom, for showing up in in heart and spirit, and for this beautiful spring day that while we're separate, we're completely enmeshed with each other. Right now, just sit in your chair and listen to the call of nature and creation calling each of us this day. I sit here and notice in the backyard spring grass and buds on trees. I see all the blessings. The world is a blessing this morning. And I'm reminded of a favorite scripture that I love. And I say it every morning when I get up. Today is the day God has made, and I rejoice in it. And I invite you to that place of inviting nature, creation, and rejoicing in that which Spirit has created this day for each of us, all of us, without exception. There's a blessing or blessings waiting to unfold, waiting for us to recognize them, waiting for us to notice, waiting for me to say, yes, God, yes to this day, yes to whatever this day holds. It's in that spirit of wonderment of this place called physical life that we were cast into, and it unfolds beautifully when we just get out of the way. So this morning, I'm going to step aside. Bless those who are bringing together this service. Bless the sound and tech people. Bless the high watchers. All those who are seen or unseen are holding a beautiful space for this service. I bless the message and the messenger, our own beloved Kamatara Johnson, knowing it will fill us, it will challenge us, it will push us out the door to say, yes, I rejoice in all that is here for me, right here, right now. And I bless the RGCSL angels, those volunteer angels that continue to serve behind the scenes, take care of all who need taken care of, even during a pandemic. It's an amazing gift we bring to the greater Albuquerque area. We care about each other. It shows we matter in the world. And I know this message this morning, this service, our glorious musicians will bless us with their gifts, their time, talent, and treasure. And I know that we will leave this service, step into the day, a blessing to all who encounter us. And I am just lost in gratitude and grace. What a wonderful place to be lost. Join me, please, as we say, and so it is.
Thank you, Carol, for that uplifting message. That I feel buoyed, like I'm ready to go fly off into spring and burst forth myself. So now we're going to have a reading from Ernest Tome's 365 Days of Richer Living. And this reading is from today's selection. And it's like spring. It says, I imbibe new ideas from the creativity of God. And there's a little precede scripture that says, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he seeth the Father do. For what things soweth he do, these also doeth the Son likewise. This is from John 5, verse 19. So Emerson tells us that the Ancient of Days is in the latest invention. In other words, since God is all there is, the only presence, the only power, and the only mind or intelligence, when we conceive a new idea, we are really thinking directly from the mind and the creativity of God. It is not our isolated, limited human personality that has this new idea. We are simply the instrument through which this idea takes place. We are in partnership with the projector, God. God really is in the latest invention, the newest song, the latest novel, the last picture painted. And in that feeling that we have, whenever we feel something new and greater and better is coming our way. For God is all there is. There is nothing else. God is both the inventor of the game and the players in the game, the author and the actors, the singer and the song, the notes and the music. Today, I imbibed new ideas from the creativity of God. My whole consciousness is alive and awake and aware. It is impregnated with divine ideas and shall bear fruit after the image of the impression conceived within it and the divine imprint made. Today, then, I expect to do new ways of I expect new ways of doing things. I expect new people. I expect to form new friendships. I expect everything in my experience to enlarge and deepen and broaden. I expect more good than I have ever had before, and I expect to give more for myself than I ever have before. And that means to increase my love for others as well as for myself. Today, I expect a gentler approach, a kinder way, and a more uplifting impulse. New thoughts, new ideas, new people, new situations, new ways of doing things. A fresh influx of the divine shall make this day perfect, good, glad, an expression of that limitless bounty from the storehouse of that divine infinite good. Thank you. And so now,
the band is wishing you all a very happy spring. This is from the Season Suite, and in my book, there's never enough John Denver.
Open up your ears and hear me.
Thank you. I always love that music. Thank you. Thank you. So today we are absolutely blessed to have the amazing Kamatara Johnson delivering our spiritual talk, after which she will deliver a spiritual mind treatment. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our Kamatara. She is a practitioner and a ministerial intern. She recently finished all her coursework at the Holmes Institute and is only 5 exams away from being a newly minted reverend. So I know for her that it is already done because it is all done in the mind of God, as we believe. Her core mission is to empower conscious evolution, and her ministry is now with Circles USA, where she serves as the Chief Learning Officer, training communities across the United States and Canada to implement a highly successful anti-poverty initiative that works to create a world that works for everyone. Reverend Kamatara Johnson.
Thank you so much, Talia. That was a really precious introduction and soon to be Reverend. So we're working up to it, but thank you so much. I am very excited to see you all this morning, and happy first week of spring. It's been a little crazy first week of spring. In fact, I think we had all 4 seasons just this week. So the Season Suite by John Denver was a very appropriate song choice for today, but technically it is spring. So to our pagan friends, our Muslim friends, our Baha'i friends, Happy New Year. Wonderful blessings. I hope it's been a great start for you. And to our Christian brothers and sisters, we know it's Palm Sunday when Jesus makes his triumphant entry and is recognized as the King of Kings, and the palms laid down. And then, of course, it gets into the Passion of Christ, which is the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, and then the highest of highs again in the Christian season with the death and resurrection of Jesus. So it's very representative of this springtime. And that song, I love the lyrics in that song by John Denver about feeling a part of everything here in me and seeing my life reflected in the seasons. And the line that really gets me is feeling the need to carry on. To me, that's what springtime is all about. Hope springs eternal in the human breast, that even though it's been dark and gloomy and winter and things are dormant and we've been in quarantine for over a year now, 53 trash days. That's how my family measures time, by trash days. It's been a while. Things have been rough. But I feel a really big sense of hope right now, that it's spring and the sun is coming back out and the trees are starting to bud and we're starting to work in our gardens. And it is a time of rebirth and transformation, individually and collectively. So it is important to contemplate what is dying away here and what wishes to be born anew. It is a time of radical change. And it might be radical change that's happening in your life personally. It's definitely radical change that's happening in our society, our collective whole, and also for our spiritual community. It's big change as we grow into attracting our new senior minister. It can be really disorienting. People can feel really lost when there's a lot of upheaval or change. And I don't know about you, but when I am lost, which happens a lot, I love my Google Maps. I'm all about the Google Maps. Or when I'm hiking and I see the big billboard and I run up to it, and I'm like, okay, where am I? And I look for that little star and the magic words that say, you are here. Then I can calm way down. I can see where I've been. I can see where I might choose to go. It helps me have a little context. When there's a map, I can just calm down
and enjoy the journey. And I was hoping that we might do that today to kind of look at some context, look at our map. Where have we been? Where might we be going? We've spent the last 11 weeks looking at this beautiful book, Creating the Beloved Community. We've spent the last 11 years living as a beloved community. At least I hope that's been your experience of the Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living. But let's just take a time to review. Where have we been? So looking at this book, if I were to summarize this in 5 minutes or less, I would remind us that we started out by talking about what is a beloved community, that we have a deep sense of belonging to and with each other, and we foster a deep sense of meaning and purpose in our lives, that we support each other on the spiritual human journey. And of course, that journey is fraught with obstacles. We have our addiction to form and expectations and ego and our different levels of understanding. So we know wherever two or more are gathered, there is the potential for conflict. But also the flip side of that, the potential to recognize the divine in each other and to foster that goodness that just is waiting to be expressed. That's the bounty of spiritual community. We can help each other over those obstacles. He had a couple of chapters on leadership, that we could recognize the leader in each other and develop those leadership qualities, which is wonderful because our community is shifting into this shared leadership model. So many people across the board have stepped up and into service. Thank you all, the different people on the board, the different people on all different teams, and stuff is happening, and it's beautiful seeing the leadership come forth in all y'all. There were a couple of chapters about the evolution of consciousness, or integral theory, spiral dynamics, whatever you want to call it, that there's all different ways of understanding how this world has been put together, little order in the chaos, and that I'll say I know that I have a personal responsibility, I feel like I do, to evolve consciously, and that we can help each other to do that. And when he spoke about that in the context of community, it was really interesting because he spoke about how our community can only go to the extent of the capacity of its leaders. Okay, so we each have a responsibility to consciously evolve and push the pioneering edge of our community and hold each other accountable, but to hold each other accountable with unconditional love. He had a whole chapter about safe space. We need a safe space to do the work because it's going to get messy. There's no way around it. Shadow work, or whatever you want to call it, the spiritual work, it gets pretty gnarly sometimes. And so we need a safe space to be vulnerable, like Reverend Willa spoke about. And in that safe space to go deep. And that's where we can really know the presence and power of the divine. We can preserve the mystical. If we're seeing and working from source, that is a whole different level. Then we really are the place where God shows up. We are love in action. Or like Reverend Karen spoke about last week, we can be that community of action, spiritual warriors who are contributing to the greater good. That we are moving beyond the transactional relationships into the transformational. We help each other to ascend, to release the old ways, to foster expansion. In fact, we even could become a catalyst for sacred disruption. I love that concept, sacred disruption. We could disrupt the patterns in our lives or in society to help bring about a reaction that's healthy and vibrant and better and so good. I love the idea of being able to comfort the afflicted, of course, but also afflicting the comfortable. And so that's been this book, that what does it mean to be a beloved community? Well, it's these things. And I don't know about you, I can only speak for me, but that has been my experience of the Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living. It is a beloved community. It has helped me to grow, to evolve, to feel the power and presence of the divine, to take action in the community, to shift into the transformational. And that's in large part because of you. That together we go further, faster, better, deeper, wider. It is about a spiritual community as a refueling station and a catalyst for more. A friend of mine named Luke Healy, he is with the Integral Christian Network, which is kind of like a mystical branch of Christianity. He wrote this great blog, and I want to read this little piece to you that speaks to this exact concept. He writes, to really engage deeply in this process of integration, so like learning and growing, we need to recognize that it is not simply something that is done only within our individual space, our interior space. To truly integrate, we must not only awaken to our individual embodied consciousness, but also our collective relational consciousness. We are not silos in our own personal universe. Any spiritual work that would genuinely reflect a full, integral consciousness will not come about on our own. It will need to be shared. It will need to be transmitted. It will need to be unbound from our illusion of separation. The we is an absolutely vital component of our integration process, as well as the I and the all. So I hope that we can stay rooted in who and what we are and what we have been. And with those roots nice and deep, then we can branch out even further to reach out and bear fruit yet again after this fallow time. And do you know that word fallow? It's kind of a weird word to say, Fallow, fallow. If you are a farmer, then you know that having a fallow time is really important. It's a time when you don't plant anything in the soil. You take a year off from that piece of soil so it can recuperate, replenish all the nutrients and richness of the soil. And then when you plant again, it's stronger and better and more amazing than it ever was in the past. Well, we've had that fallow time. We've had this time off. We've had this cosmic time out. And it's time to start planting the seeds. It's time to start thinking about growing crops again. It's time we're starting to contemplate how we might be able to come back together little by little in person, but we also have been coming together electronically, online, in so many different ways. There's still stuff happening, underground, as it were. And so I'd really like to think about the life-affirming, life-giving nature, the springtime for our spiritual community, and really think about embodying our namesake. For those of you who aren't, maybe from New Mexico, if you're visiting us from somewhere else in electronic land, we are named the Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living, and we're named after a very sacred and historic river, the Rio Grande, the big river that runs actually almost 1,900 miles from Colorado all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico and out to the ocean. And what's really interesting to think about this very powerful, life-affirming, amazing river is that when you go to the headwaters where it starts up in Colorado, it's actually kind of tiny. It's not very impressive. It starts out kind of small. But what's underground, what's deep within is so mighty. It just has to come forth. And as it comes forth and out and into the world, it is so powerful. And I think that's like us. We are like our namesake. We started 11 years ago, and yes, it was, the small, tiny little thing. But what was deep within was so powerful. It had to be expressed, this life-affirming power of divine force. And as it goes out and does its work, that's just like this beautiful river. But we also know, if any of you have lived by the river for any amount of time, you know that rivers change. And that the expression we have of the Rio not so grande right now in Albuquerque, or especially as you get south to Las Cruces, it's only like a little trickle. It's maybe a swampy bog up in Albuquerque. And then if you've ever been in Las Cruces by about Thanksgiving time, it's a bone dry riverbed. And it made me think, where's all this water gone? What happened to the big river? Well, I know that there's at least 15 dams along the river, like Elephant Butte and Coach T and Caballo, just to name a few. So this water, this powerful force, it's all dammed up, and it goes into these little tributaries, and it's diverted to do all these other things. So it's doing, agriculture and irrigation and important good things. That's fine, but it's so dammed up and diverted that there's just nothing left. It's just this little trickle by the time it gets to us. And I'd like us to think about that right now as quarantine seems to be coming to an end. Things are shifting right now. And it's important for us to think in our own lives or for our spiritual community. Is there anything that's dammed up right now? Do we have a kink in our hose? Are we clogged up that we need to work out before we jump back in to the full force of this river flowing? Is there something in our life that's just diverting our power, that's just sucking all our energy and taking it away, so we just got nothing left? Or maybe you're dammed up in a good way, like you have a lot of energy and you're ready to get back into action. And well, then we need to be careful too, because we don't want to just open the floodgates and everybody drowns. Whoa, 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 whoa. We need to just take this moment to have some discernment individually and collectively. As the state is starting to open up, we do have some choices to make, and to really contemplate, what are we saying yes to? What is worth our energy? Or to think about our water level. What's the right water level for you? Collectively, what's the right water level for the Rio Grande? Because obviously we do want to come back to our full expression, and we want to balance our power with our experience. But yeah, it's all about balance. And water balances itself out and goes where it needs to go. So this really is a time for us to embody our namesake, that full, powerful expression of the divine, but to do it with wisdom and discernment and integration, to really think, what have we learned in these last few months, the last year? Have we integrated those lessons? Have we expanded now into this new expression? A river carries whatever came before it, and through it, you can never throw a rock into the same river twice, right? And it does make me think of this passage I read in the book Oneness, written by Rasha. If you're I don't know if you've ever heard of this person before. This is new to me, but I've been very excited by this book, thinking about this kind of change and growth and expansion we might be experiencing now. This person writes, although your path is your own and the pace at which you travel is a matter of choice, you will not be expected to make the journey alone. Each progressive level of self is an investment in consciousness that is as committed to the process of integration as you are. As you reach energetically for and merge with each successive level of self, you embrace the loving intent of that expanded identity to integrate all that you are into its repertoire of awareness and response. As the levels of your consciousness intertwine, the distinction between those aspects of self ceases to be, and oneness is achieved. And once that integration has taken place, one is able to transcend the limitations of one's previous focus. In so doing, one is able to remain in harmony with all that previously defined one's existence, while simultaneously opening up to encompass the fullness of the totality of that stage in one's process. At this point, one embodies self-definition and form while merging in totality with momentum and direction. And I love those words, momentum, feeling the energy of the river, and direction. Where are we headed? And these energies become one. And the transference of form from here to there is achieved. Once there, the qualities of momentum and direction are retained as an integral part of one's self-perception. One is able to ride the energy of momentum in the direction of that momentum, for one would be in complete harmony. This is the direction in which you are headed in these times. This is a fragmentary glimpse of the world that awaits you, the world that awaits us. With this momentum and this direction, we can see our form taking shape. We define ourselves and who we are. And as we shift from this quarter to next quarter, we are going to be looking at this book called Your Redefining Moments, Becoming Who You Were Born to Be by Dennis Merritt Jones. In fact, the author of the book is going to be our speaker next week, not to be missed. I am fangirling. I can't believe it that he's going to be our speaker. Thank you so much, Reverend Karen, for setting that up and getting us connected. I'm so excited. But this week, before we get into redefining ourselves, let's take a moment to define ourselves. We've been thinking today about how we are and have been this beloved community. And then how might we redefine ourselves into a greater expression of that beloved community? This is a time for great discernment, for integration, for conscious choices. So take it to prayer this week, truly, this week, and think about, who are you now? You might be different today than you were yesterday, than last week, than the last month, than 53 trash days ago. You've changed. Who are you? And what do you really want? That's a defining moment. And we can do that for our spiritual community. Who are we? What do we really want? And can we embody our namesake, El Rio Grande, powerful, life-giving force of the divine? Because, my beloveds, we are on the edge of the map here. But as a beloved community, we can give each other courage to be pioneers sailing down the river together. Namaste. So let's take it to prayer. All right, in this moment, in this place, with the beautiful people that we are all connected here via this amazing technology, just breathe into that connection, knowing that there is no separation. Only one heart, one mind, one love. This is the divine expressing in all of life as we know it. And even beyond what we can understand, this is the one loving source. And I know that I am, you are, we are aligned with the divine that is the presence and power within. We are that place where the divine shows up in the here and now. This is that something sacred going on. And this beloved spiritual community, the Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living, is an expression of that one loving source. In all its messy goodness, the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, the sunny days, the cloudy days, the horribly windy, chilly, rainy, pissy, yucky days, just as much as the beautiful sun and the buds that are just starting to spring forth and the flowers that are coming, all of it is the divine. Every aspect, there is no place where God is not. And so recognizing the divine everywhere, I know that this time is truly blessed. This is a great time of rebirth and transformation, of growing our roots even more deeply and expanding out, branching out even further. That we have that powerful source within, that wellspring, that inexhaustible source of good and God that is the divine within, that bubbles forth and just wishes to be expressed. And I know for each person it is expressing fully and powerfully at just the right level of expression for that person. And whatever that looks like for you, it is just right. I know that each person has a moment of divine clarity and grace going forward, making conscious choices about what we're saying yes to as we step out into the world little by little as things open up. And so knowing that each person is divinely guided and blessed, and that this spiritual community is totally divinely guided and blessed, and that the universe is absolutely stacked in our favor. I am so grateful. I am so grateful to have this time to remember who and what we are, to tap back in to the divine, and to be refreshed and replenished and to go back out into the world and do what's ours to do. Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for sharing the spiritual journey and to be on the pioneering edge of ourselves with each other. Thank you. Thank you, sweet spirit. Thank you, blessed community members. Thank you, beautiful universe. And so with a full, rich heart, I'm going to take this whole big prayer and everything that was said and unsaid, and I'm just going to launch it out into the divine, knowing that God is on the job and all is well. And so wherever you are, go ahead and say with me, nice and loud, with firm conviction, and so it is. Amen.
So it is, and so it is, and so it is, and so it is. So thank you, Reverend Kamatara. You have given us quite a lot to think about and how to proceed from our own fallowness into a spring that works for us from within. All I know is I am ready to set sail with you and the Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living. So, and I want to find out more about that book. And so it is now time for us to share our abundance. There are multiple ways to give, and some are scrolling across the bottom of your screen right now. We are sincerely grateful for anything that you can share with us from your own abundance. Please say the giving affirmation with me. It will come across the screen now. Affirmation of abundance. I am abundant, and I give from my abundance. I am prosperous, and I give from my prosperity. I am blessed, and I give from my blessings. My blessings of spirit are as abundant as the stars, and so I give and receive generously, and so it is. Thank you. And now we'll have another selection from that magnificent band of ours. Thank you.
We're going to sing Don't Stop Thinking About Tomorrow.
That is so awesome. I am always carried away by your music, I have to say. And also want to say, you can donate separately to the music ministry. I know that they would appreciate your contributions. They are not paid, and nobody asked me to say this. I am just like, wow, I love that music. And I know that they can use it. So now, please help me bless the offerings. O divine giver of life, we gratefully accept and bless all of the gifts of whatever nature on behalf of our congregation here at the Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living and its work. May each gift return to the giver 1,000-fold. I now will turn the service over to our beautiful, yes, beautiful. He doesn't want to think he's beautiful, but he is. We tease him. He's beautiful. Norm Dawson. See there, those ears, they're beautiful, for announcements. And he will include telling us how to get on Zoom later for our social hall. Thank you, Norm.
Thank you, Chaplain Talia. Hey, here's the announcements for upcoming possibilities right here on our center. If you have an announcement you'd like to share, all you have to do is go to announcements@rgcsl.org, and you can send your announcement in there, and we'll get it broadcast here with proper editing and all that kind of stuff. So all the announcements that I'm going to share with you below are going to be in the digital bulletin on the website. So the book for the second quarter, which means this is the last week of the second quarter, if you haven't already gotten Your Defining Moments, Becoming Who You Were Born to Be by Dennis Merritt Jones. Also the bonus book, Transitions by Julia Cameron. And you can get these books on Amazon Smile. If you buy them from Amazon Smile, the center will also receive a little bit of a commission or a stipend or something. So be sure to get those from AmazonSmile.com. Okay, don't forget, we still have an ongoing March Monday morning meditation on Zoom at 9 o'clock in the morning on Mondays. Now, next week, of course, I'm going to have to change this to April Monday morning meditation, so it'll be instead of Anyway, you get the point. Get on Zoom and get your meditation in at 9 o'clock Monday mornings. And also, we have yoga classes on Zoom now, too, on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 11 a.m. And then we also have a beginner's yoga on Mondays and Fridays at 8:30. So if you're really experienced and you want to get into it at a higher level, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays 11. If you're a beginner, then Mondays and Fridays at 8:30. And this information, of course, will be found in the weekly newsletter. Okay, this is the last week for the food drive. Food drive is the last week here, and that's to benefit the families at the Mary Ann Binford Elementary School. And they've already donated information or food, breads, water, shampoos, and soaps, and those kind of things to about 40 families since the pandemic began. So you can go down there, and wouldn't it be nice to have a big old semi truck full of these canned goods, breads, waters, shampoos, and soap products, and whatever you can donate. So take it down to the center now, Monday through Thursday, from 10 to 3, and they've got some barrels for you to stick in where the appropriate stuff needs to go, or you can just send a check, and that check will be made out to, the check will be used to purchase the products for the school. Wouldn't that be great to have somebody do the charitable donations for you? Just send a check or drop it by. And then we have a Me and White Supremacy workshop. That is a journaling and discussion group. Now, the literature that I've got right here, the announcement says this is for white people. I don't think people of color need to be told about this, but white people seem to have unintentional biases. So our practitioner, Marilyn O'Leary, will be discussing this very insightful ideas and information for change. And that is going to be on Zoom also, April. That's on Tuesdays in April from 3 to 4:30, and that's going to last for about 6 weeks. So that's a $60 donation. So be sure to check that out and take a look at how we can take a look at white supremacy. Okay, we're still looking for, and you already know about this, but if you don't, we're looking for a new senior minister. We're looking for people to join this select committee of people, active members, and there's some qualifications in there to get in there by, for example, you need to have taken the foundations, and you have to know where the center is, and something like that. But anyway, contact the center and just give them a call and look on your bulletin. You get more information about how to be involved in the search for the new minister. All of these announcements are mentioned in the digital bulletin and on the website, and be sure you come to the Zoom room right after. Now, that's closed caption now, so if you'd like to take advantage of being able to see what's going on as subtitles, as some people call it, that'll be just a few minutes after the center, after the message is over, and then you can check out your ensure your fellowship and sharing at that point. So see you on Zoom, and if you don't make it there, I'll see you all next week. Have a great week.
Thank you, Norm. Thank you for the gift that you are to our services every Sunday and a blessing to our lives in between. You're informative and just such a great listener with those ears. Right now, join me in a prayer of gratitude, a prayer of benediction. Join me in love for each of you, all of you, each of us as us, just as we are. I'm always reminding my 4 dogs that love multiplies, it doesn't divide. They're buying in slowly. And that is a truth. Love only multiplies. This life is only love. This life is only God. This service is a blessing to the day. This service says, welcome spring. Thank you for that powerful message, Kamatara. Thank you for your service to RGCSL and to God himself and to God herself. I'm so fortunate. I'm remembered. I'm reminded not only of who I am, but what I am. And that is, I am. I am part of the divine. I am a particulate in the universe that makes up all of us. What great company I'm in. As we walk through this week, I hope we see the joy in the world, the love in the world. I hope we bring joy and love to the world. That's what we can do. It's free. That is part of our God-gifted time, talent, and treasure to each one of us. We can love each other. We can accept. We can leave the judgment at the doorstep. Open our hearts, minds, arms. Embrace change. Embrace transition. Walk into it. I'm reminded that when I open up to the universe, it opens up and pours forth back to me. I know that we will walk into this day, walk into our lives as blessings to each other and to everyone and everything. And so we take this blessing of being able to walk through the world just as who we are, and we've done all that's expected of us this day. I love the community. I love my life. I love each one of you. Have a blessed week, and so it is.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh yeah, I think to myself,